can't get married." We looked around and saw that the scary voice was coming from the stink bug. "Let me tell you a little bit about the stink bug. The stink bug was in charge. He was important. None of the other animals could quite work out why he was in charge or how he was important, but he was. And that meant he made the rules. That meant all the animals listened to him, even though he was, and this is true, very stinky. "Boy bunnies don't marry boy bunnies," said the stink bug. "Boy bunnies have to marry girl bunnies." "But this is the bunny I love," said Wesley. "And this is the bunny I love," said me, Marlon Bundo. Just being next to Wesley made me feel a little bit braver. "Too bad," said the stink bug. "I am the stinkiest and I am important. I am the stinkiest and I am in charge. Boy bunnies marry girl bunnies. Girl bunnies marry boy bunnies. This is the way it has always been. You are different, and different is bad." The other animals whispered nervously among themselves. Pumpernickel, who was a badger, came forward. "I'm different too," he said. "I eat my sandwiches crust first." "I'm different too," said Dill Prickle, who was a hedgehog. "I read the ends of books before I read the beginnings, just to make sure they're not too sad for me." "I am different too," said Mr. Paws, who was a very good dog. "Sometimes I sniff butts, and I don't know why." "Everyone is different, and different is not bad," said Scooter, who was a turtle. "Different is special." "Wait," said Mr. Paws, who was a very good dog, and also a very smart dog. "Wait a minute. We get to decide who is in charge. We get to decide who is important. We can vote." And on this very special day, all the animals voted on who they wanted to have in charge. And you see on the ballot, they have the stink bug and not the stink bug. They chose not the stink bug. "Hooray!" said me, Marlon Bundo. "Hooray!" said Wesley. "Hooray!" said all of our friends, because that is what friends say. "No!" boomed the stink bug. "Boy bunnies can't marry boy but." "You are not in charge," all the other animals said. So Wesley and I got married. We had 2 handsome groom otters named Muffins and Chubby, and a flower mouse named Hiccup. We ate and drank and danced the hokey pokey. Dill Prickle was especially good. And the ceremony was performed by a cat named Pajama, who brought her wife as her date. After we ate and drank and danced, we went home, together. "We have to get some sleep, Marlon. Tomorrow we leave on our bunny moon, because it doesn't matter if you love a girl bunny or a boy bunny, or you eat your sandwich backwards or forward. Stink bugs are temporary. Love is forever. For every bunny who has ever felt different." I hope you guys like that. I thought it was a really good story. And now we're going to read She Persisted, 13 American Women Who Changed the World by Chelsea Clinton. She Persisted, 13 American Women Who Changed the World. Sometimes being a girl isn't easy, and at some point, someone will probably tell you no. Sometimes being a girl isn't easy. At some point, someone probably will tell you no. Will tell you to be quiet and may even tell you your dreams are impossible. Don't listen to them. These 13 American women certainly did not take no for an answer. They persisted. Harriet Tubman was a born slave, and her story could have ended there. Instead, she persisted, escaping from slavery and becoming the most famous conductor on the Underground Railroad. She risked her life many times to lead countless slaves to freedom, including her family, friends, and strangers. Every person she led to freedom arrived safely. I should fight for my liberty as long as my strength lasted. Once Helen Keller became blind and deaf as a toddler, few people thought she'd be able to learn to read, write, or speak. but she persisted. Helen learned how to do all three, and not only became the first person with deaf blindness to graduate from college, but she used her story to help fight for more opportunities for people with disabilities in the United States and around the world. One can never consent to creep when another feels an impulse to soar. After her family fled poverty and threat of violence in Ukraine for a new home in New York City, Clara Lemick got a job working at a garment factory. She wrote that the factory's conditions made women into machines, so she persisted, organizing picket lines and strikes that ultimately helped win better pay, shorter hours, and safer working conditions for thousands of workers, both women and men. I am one of those who suffers from the abuses described here, and I move that we go on general strike. Nellie Bly became a reporter in part because a mill writer had said that working women were a monstrosity, and she wanted to prove that women could do anything. At times putting her safety at risk, she persisted throughout her career in exposing real monstrosities, pretending to be a sweatshop worker and a patient in a mental hospital to show how badly people were being treated. I have never written... One second. Sorry about that. I have never written a word that did not come from my heart. I never shall. Inspired from an early age by her brother's childhood illness, Inspired from an early age by her brother's childhood illness, Virginia Apgar was determined to be a doctor, long before many girls had such dreams. Even though she qualified to be a surgeon, the male head surgeon at her hospital discouraged her because she was a woman. Nevertheless, she persisted, becoming an anesthesiologist and creating the Apgar score to test a newborn baby's health, which all hospitals all over the world still use today. Nobody, but nobody, is going to stop breathing on me. After Maria Tallchief's family moved to California, partly to support Maria's dreams of becoming a dancer, she was teased by students in school for her Native American heritage, and later was encouraged to change her last name to something that sounded Russian, since many professional dancers at the time were from Russia. She persisted, ignoring all the taunting and poor advice, to become the first great American prima ballerina. It never occurred to me to say, it hurts to do that. As a 15-year-old riding a bus home from a school in Montgomery, Alabama, Claudette Colvin was expected to give her seat to a white woman, just because she was African American. In her refusal to get up, she persisted in taking a stand for what's right, helping to inspire Rosa Parks to make the same choice 9 months later, an act many point to as the starting of the modern civil rights movement. I knew then, and I know now, when it comes to justice, there is no easy way to get it. You can't sugarcoat it. You have to take a stand and say, this is not right. When Ruby Bridges was in kindergarten, many schools across America, particularly in the South, still refused African American students their equal right to an education. Rudy wouldn't be treated like a second-class student, and she persisted, walking for weeks past angry, hateful protesters to integrate an all-white elementary school in New Orleans. That fateful walk to school began a journey, and we all must work together to continue moving forward. And those people surrounding Ruby are U.S. Marshals who had to guard her while she went to school because they were afraid that the protesters would try to hurt her. So she was really brave. As the first woman to serve as both a U.S. representative and a U.S. senator, Margaret Chase Smith could have let the fact alone be her legacy. Instead, she persisted in championing women's rights and more opportunities Kid, Florence Griffith Joyner visited her father in the Mojave Desert. She would urge her to run faster and faster, to run as fast as a jackrabbit. Even when she had to leave college to help support her family, she persisted in her training on the track, then went back to school and got faster and faster. Her unbroken world records in the 100-meter and 200-meter sprints, set at the 1988 Summer Olympics, means that she is still the fastest woman ever. When someone tells me I can't do anything, I'm just not listening anymore. Oprah Winfrey's grandmother expected Oprah to follow in her footsteps and become a maid. Oprah knew, even as a little girl, that her dreams would take her somewhere else. She persisted in turning those dreams into reality and became a media superstar, working in movies, magazines, theater, and most of all, television, where the Oprah Winfrey Show remains the highest rated talk show of all time. The biggest adventures you can ever take is to live the life of your dreams. When fictional judges on television inspired Sonia Sotomayor to want to be a real-life judge when she grew up, she'd have to speak English. When watching fictional judges on television inspired Sonia Sotomayor to become a real-life judge when she grew up, she knew that she'd have to speak English as well as she spoke Spanish, study hard in school, and manage her diabetes before she could one day wear a judge's robe with a gavel in hand. She persisted, eventually becoming a Supreme Court justice and the first ever Latina to sit on America's highest court. I have never had to face anything that could not overwhelm the native optimism and stubborn perseverance I was blessed with. So, if anyone ever tells you no, if anyone ever says your voice isn't important or your dreams are too big, remember these women. They persisted, and so should you. Well, I hope you all like that. Nevada Storytime is going to be happening every Saturday at noon. This was Scott. I read you the story of Marlon Bundo and about 13 American women who changed the world. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see each other next week. Take care, y'all.